You've done everything right. You've followed every rule they told you would make you happy. You've achieved. You've loved. You've tried. Yet when you lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, there's that quiet ache, a kind of emptiness that doesn't scream. It just hums beneath everything. You keep thinking, maybe the next thing will fix it. A new job, a new person, a new version of you. But the silence keeps returning, and the question you never ask out loud whispers again. Why do I still feel empty, no matter what I do? The truth is, emptiness isn't a failure. It's a signal. It's the moment your soul stops playing along with the illusion. For most of your life, you were taught to fill silence with noise, to fill the void with achievement, to cover pain with purpose. But what if the emptiness isn't a lack of something? What if it's an invitation to finally stop running from yourself? Let's go back to the moment you first learned that love must be earned. Maybe it was a parent whose warmth came only when you pleased them. Maybe it was a teacher who praised you only when you performed. That's where the emptiness was born, in the gap between who you are and who you were told to be. You learned early that to be loved, you must be useful. That to be safe, you must be small. That to be accepted, you must abandon parts of yourself. So you build a version of you that the world could love. The achiever, the helper, the caretaker, the one who never asks. And for a while it worked. People smiled. You fit in. You looked like you belonged. But deep down, a quiet part of you kept whispering, if they only love the version of me I perform, who will love the one I hide? That's the paradox of emptiness. You've spent so long becoming everything for everyone that there's nothing left that feels like you. You can't feel fullness because the cup you keep filling has a hole in the bottom, and that hole is self-abandonment. Every time you said yes when your body screamed no, every time you smiled while breaking inside, every time you reached for another distraction instead of sitting with the silence, the emptiness didn't appear overnight. It's the echo of all the times you disappear from yourself. But here's what no one told you. Emptiness isn't your enemy. It's your mirror. It shows you everything in your life that isn't aligned. It strips away the noise until only truth remains. And yes, that process feels unbearable at first, because for the first time, you're not distracting yourself with becoming. You're finally being. This is where most people turn back. They feel the void and think, something's wrong with me. But what if the void isn't a punishment, it's a doorway? What if feeling empty is the universe's way of asking, will you keep chasing? Or will you finally look within? The truth is, we live in a world addicted to filling. Fill your feed. Fill your schedule. Fill your home with things that prove you exist. But the more we fill, the less we feel. Because fullness that depends on external validation is never sustainable. You can't pour meaning into yourself from the outside. You have to remember it from the inside. Let's talk about the psychology of this emptiness, because it has a name: existential displacement. It's what happens when your internal sense of worth gets separated from your true self. You start believing you are what you produce, not what you are when you're still. This displacement keeps you in a loop. The more you achieve, the more afraid you become to stop, because stopping would mean facing the silence. And you've spent years avoiding what lives there. But you can't heal what you refuse to feel. So the moment you stop running, the emptiness finally finds you. And it feels terrifying. Yet, underneath that terror, something sacred begins to happen. For the first time, you are face to face with yourself. Not the image, not the mask, but the raw awareness underneath. That awareness is what's been calling you home all along. There comes a moment when running no longer works. When every distraction loses its flavor. When even the things that once excited you start to feel hollow. That's the moment most people call rock bottom. But I don't. I call it the threshold. Because beneath the numbness, something ancient begins to stir. The part of you that refuses to keep pretending. Maybe you felt it. You scroll for hours, searching for something you can't name. You buy things you don't need, hoping they'll fill the silence. You replay old conversations, trying to extract meaning from echoes. None of it works. Because the thing you're starving for can't be found in noise. It can only be found in stillness. But stillness is the one thing the mind fears most. It whispers, if I stop moving, I'll disappear. So you keep moving, keep fixing, keep building versions of yourself that look alive. Yet each version feels further from home. Here's the truth psychology doesn't always tell you. Avoidance is a coping mechanism. It's the nervous system's way of protecting you from collapse. When you were small, silence felt dangerous because silence meant disconnection, and disconnection felt like death. So your mind learned to fill every pause with noise, every void with effort, every wound with productivity. But healing begins when you allow yourself to unlearn that reflex, when you stop trying to fix the emptiness and instead listen to it. Sit with it. Notice what it says when you no longer drown it out. Sometimes it says nothing. Sometimes it screams. Sometimes it simply aches in your chest like a quiet tide pulling at your ribs. That's your unlived life speaking. The emotions you suppressed, the words you swallowed, the boundaries you never set. Soft voice with warmth. In shadow psychology, they call this integration. It's not about destroying your darkness. It's about embracing it. You cannot feel full if you reject half of yourself. So the next time you feel that familiar emptiness rise, don't reach for a distraction. Instead, ask quietly, what part of me is asking to be seen right now? Maybe it's the child who learned that being too quiet meant being invisible. Maybe it's the teenager who was told their feelings were too much. Maybe it's the adult who learned to perform strength because vulnerability was never safe. Each layer of emptiness is actually a memory, a moment where a part of you went into hiding. And when you sit with the void, you start to hear them return, one by one. It hurts at first, like thawing after years of frost. You'll feel grief, anger, confusion. You want to run again, but stay, because beneath the pain is presence. Beneath the chaos is clarity. Beneath the emptiness is everything you thought you lost. This is where surrender begins. Not the kind that gives up, the kind that lets go. You stop trying to fill the space. You stop trying to control the outcome. You let the emptiness be empty, and for the first time, you begin to notice. The emptiness isn't dark anymore. It's spacious, like standing inside an open sky. That's what true healing feels like. Not ecstasy, but expansion. You realize the void was never asking you to fill it. It was asking you to feel it. Because when you do, you become larger than the void itself. You become the awareness that holds it. You've sat with the emptiness long enough to see what it really is. Not a punishment, not a flaw, but a space, waiting to be filled, not with noise, but with truth. And now, something subtle begins to shift. You no longer fear being alone. You no longer need constant movement. You begin to notice quiet moments that once went unseen. The way light falls on the wall in the morning. The sound of your own breath between thoughts. This is presence. The medicine your soul was begging for all along. The psychology of emptiness often ends here, with awareness. But awareness alone doesn't fill the void. What fills it is meaning. And meaning doesn't come from grand purpose or achievement. It grows in the smallest places, in honesty, in slowness, in choosing to meet yourself gently, again and again. You start to realize the life you were chasing was built on avoidance, but the life you're creating now is built on alignment. You stop saying yes when you mean no. You stop shrinking so others can stay comfortable. You stop performing peace and start becoming it. The emptiness that once terrified you becomes a teacher. It shows you what parts of you were never truly yours. The borrowed goals, the inherited guilt, the silent expectations. You return them, one by one. And underneath all that borrowed noise, you find something real. A self that doesn't need validation to exist. Maybe the reason you've always felt empty is because you were trying to fill a sacred space meant for truth. You can't fill that space with people. You can't fill it with work. You can't even fill it with healing techniques. It only responds to authenticity. Every time you speak your truth, even when your voice shakes, that space lights up a little more. Every time you choose rest over proving yourself. Every time you set a boundary, a self that can sit in stillness and feel whole. Every time you forgive the version of you that didn't know better, that sacred space expands, and slowly, quietly, you begin to feel full again. Not because you added more, but because you stopped abandoning yourself. The world taught you that fullness comes from doing, but real fullness comes from being. When you stop trying to be everything, you finally have room to be yourself. There's a phrase in philosophy, paradox of the void. It says, when the cup is empty, it is most useful. Because only an empty space can hold new life. And that's what you are now. Not broken, not missing something, but ready. Ready to hold your life in a new way. Ready to live from truth, not from fear. Ready to feel again. You see, the point was never to escape the emptiness. It was to remember that even inside it, you were always whole. So tonight, when the silence returns, don't rush to fill it. Don't scroll. Don't reach. Don't run. Just breathe. Feel the air moving through you. The same air that moves through trees, oceans, and stars. That's not emptiness. That's connection. You are not missing anything. You are simply remembering. Remember that peace is not something you find. It's what remains when everything false falls away. This is why you feel empty no matter what you do. Because what you've been searching for isn't out there. It's the part of you that's been waiting, patiently, for you to come home.